The songs were written before the pandemic, and now they're coming out. And that mood that we were tapping into is now like a broader cultural mood when prior to the pandemic as well as this doom metal.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now. So, Byron, Gina, and Kevin of Minerva, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. It's always fun to have an entire band on the call. That makes us sometimes a little hectic, but I'll do my best to make sure everybody gets their time in the spotlight. So you guys bring fuzz doom at its best. I honestly, including this morning, have been putting your album on in the morning to just wake up and get going. Many artists tell people like me, like, oh yeah, I never listen to my own music. You know, once I record it, it's done. I look ahead. Is that the same with you guys, or are you like secretly also putting it on to get a good energy boost in the morning?
I don't know. Listen to it for a while, and then I'll put it on, and then I'll listen to it like, okay, this is still holding up. So.
I'm kind of with everybody else. I don't really listen to it a whole lot. Maybe once or twice since it was recorded. And I don't know why that is. And you know that people are generally like that. I think that for me, once it's done, it's done. You can't go back and do it any differently. So then you just keep going forward.
So Byron, what you say there, is that an indication of if you start listening to it, you're one of those artists that goes like, okay, I hear all the things that I would have done slightly different, and very critical of yourself?
Oh yeah, they'll tell you I'm super self-critical, you know. You know, and there are good things and bad things about that. The good things is that it pushes you to be better. The bad things is just annoying and stressful. It kind of is what it is. But I know a lot of artists are like that.
For sure, for sure.
When when I want to listen to a CD, what I do is I take it for what I call the drive. So I'll pop it. I guess it's becoming less and less frequent that cars have CD players, but mine thankfully does. And so I bring everything I want to listen to and put it in the car. And there's just not, I mean, I spend enough time in the car, and I do that with ours. And I just crank it all the way up and take it for the drive once in a while. And just enjoy it as I would enjoy any other. I try not to think of it. I mean, sometimes I'm like, wow, that's us, dude. But then, you know, I'd listen to it like I would listen to any other CD I really want to spend time with.
I saw a lot of comments of like, wow, this is really good, but I never heard these guys before. It kind of took a lot of people by surprise. I first of all, I assume that you were very happy with that reaction, but is that just the power of working with Tommy Stewart and Black Doomba, or you know, what's at play that you think all of a sudden a lot more people started noticing you guys?
Yeah, I think the combination of Tommy and Black Doomba and Curtis and C Squared PR. We worked with Curtis for the EP, and that got us out there a lot and put us in a good position to hook up with Tommy to do the full record. And then the combination of the two of them has taken it, you know, to that next step or that next level. Tommy works really hard for his bands, and so does Curtis. So I think we got pretty lucky in that regard.
It's really exciting to see the reviews and all of the support and feedback and shares and everything. Yeah, it's been wonderful.
When we recorded the record, we got in contact with Curtis at C Squared, which was then through our PR. and he recommended, taking a couple of songs, putting out his EP to lay some groundwork to then find a label. And it worked pretty much exactly like Curtis anticipated. What we didn't anticipate was the pandemic.
Right.
And that literally took a year out of the process that we were working on. But when the beginning of 21 rolled around, we just sort of picked it back up, and boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Now this is something really interesting, and because what I understand is that most of the songs were written before the pandemic and have been, ready to go for some time, and then now a broader audience is discovering these songs, and you guys, deal with. I mean, there's a lot of layers to the lyrics, and you can read into, from a different angles, but there are definitely elements in your lyrics that deal with, isolation and acceptance, and very different dark emotions as well. I would assume that you're getting feedback or comments from newer fans who haven't seen you play these songs live back in the day or whatever, they're just discovering you, that because what they went through with the pandemic and self-isolation and so on are resonating with these songs today, they may not have done in such a way 2-3 years ago. Is that weird to see as an artist, that your art goes on a journey of itself and takes on a whole different meaning for different people?
Once you let go of your art and put it out there, it's for everyone's interpretation. Yeah. That's the wild thing about it, is people can come up with all kinds of interpretations for it, and if it helps them deal with certain emotions, and that's pretty positive.
Yeah,
Gina, I see you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think we also write in a way, as Kevin noted, that the lyrics can be, interpreted differently, read from different perspectives. Even if we have a literal touch point for the songs, which a lot of times we do, they're written in such a way that it's not quite clear what that literal touchstone is. So we want to write in a way that's open and evokes kind of a mood or a feeling that people can tap into. And it's an interesting question that you put out there about, the songs were written before the pandemic, and now they're coming out, and that mood that we were tapping into is now like a broader cultural mood, when prior to the pandemic, as well, this is doom metal. This is what doom does. But context changed, and now people's responses to it are perhaps different.
Gina, I saw you nodding ferociously when the gents were talking. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Yes, I mean, I'm like, we're all coming from a similar place in that. I mean, Byron and I are both academics, and so the idea of sending something out for publication or what have you, and seeing what happens and seeing how it gets taken up and taking a life of its own, that's something I've already been familiar with. It sort of turns into something else when it's out there, when it leaves your hands. But it's also cool to see what happens as well. And when the circumstances change, it changes the whole context of everything.
You mentioned that you're academics, so Minerva, Roman goddess of wisdom, victory, arts, the Roman version of the goddess Athena. Was she the inspiration for the name, or does the name come from somewhere completely different?
Let Gina start answering this one.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, as we do, we first of all started off doing Motorhead covers. That's how we originally got together and sort of were working on music together. And it started to turn into something else, and we were in the position every band is in. Okay, what are we going to call this new thing that we don't even know is taking shape before us. And we were just, discussing different names. And I'd done a previous project on the owl of Minerva flies at dusk, sort of surveying the battlefield in the aftermath. And that's a pretty doomy type of, conception of history and of things. It's always in retrospect. And so we started thinking about that, and the first thing you do, okay, let's Google and see how many Owl of Minerva bands there are. There were a couple, and Minerva, and so Byron suggested that we sort of make a unique version that people would look at it and you'd kind of get a sense that it is Minerva, but it would be unique in its spelling. Yeah,
it's interesting to sort of think about that now in relation to the question you just asked a second ago. I mean, if Minerva, it turns back and surveys the battlefield, I mean, the band Minerva is looking back at the pandemic and, articulating it and responding to it in a certain kind of way. So that's an interesting way to think about it.
You mentioned Motorhead, Gina. On the most of the descriptions of the band, given the heavy fuzz, doom, and some stoner influences and what have you, people get to, this is great for fans of the Melvins and also like second wave doom and bands like I've seen Cathedral, Candlemass, and what have you, but just as much, Motorhead absolutely is an element. Maybe it's not at the same speed that Motorhead likes to do, but Motorhead, but also the Cult, Pixies, Killing Joke, like these are, there's all elements of that in your music. Are the three of you, do you all bring very different elements to or influences to the music, or are you all kind of on the same page? And are the bands that I just said, like, am I way off here, or am I right that you guys like some alternative rock from the late 80s?
Oh yeah, I'm of that era.
Me too.
So I mean, we've listened to all of that kind of stuff, and I think all of those sorts of influences from the 80s and 90s are in there directly or indirectly. And then you link that up to all the stuff that's going on now, and kind of this surge or wave of stoner doom, and we're just sort of putting those two eras together, I think.
Kevin, is there a specific band that really influenced you, forming as a musician?
Oh yeah, a few of them. Like one of them is definitely Motorhead, but before we started this band, I had just discovered Electric Wizard, and I had never heard it before. Right. And it was like Sabbath, but way darker. Yeah, it was like, how do you get darker than Sabbath? It's like this band. And Witch Throat Serpent, that was another one. Those guys are nasty. And then I was turned on to Monolord, and it just kind of kept going and going. Like some of that, and I like horror movies and stuff, so I like to throw in weird stuff, and storylines and stuff, and songs. So we're all kind of coming from multiple angles between everything that we bring, but it blends pretty well. It's pretty nice because we'll each have like a part or something, and then we just kind of jam on it until it starts to form into something. And Byron may have some lyrics, or I may have some lyrics, or Gina may have some lyrics, and we kind of tweak them a little bit, and then we just kind of throw it together and see how it works until we practice the crap out of it until it starts to sound like something. And you just have to be a blender.
When you guys said Motorhead, I think when I was listening to some of the songs, like especially the guitar soloing at times, remind me a little bit of Killed by Death kind of era Motorhead. But it does bring it gives you guys somewhat of an accessible cocktail, and I mean that as in a positive way, because I know sometimes in like heavy rock, especially in the more extreme or subcategories, the word accessible is like, ooh, like don't call us accessible. But I think a lot of people will be able to resonate and get into your music, even though it's much heavier than maybe some of listeners would be usually comfortable with. Is that something that I know that you've played some shows obviously already, you guys posted some clips on social media. Do you then also see like a super varied audience coming to your shows?
We do. It really depends on the venue, the other bands that we're playing with, and just who happens to show up that evening. And we played with death metal bands, we played with doom metal bands, we played with rock bands, we play with sort of thrash bands. We tend to play shows with lots of different folks, and I think in each one of those different audiences find something to connect with in what we do.
I know that you're gonna start preparing for some upcoming songs. Not songs, shows. Gina, can you tell us a little bit about some of the upcoming plans that we should all keep our eyes open for?
Well, we're still in the process of sort of sorting out our fall schedule. We have a couple of things that haven't been confirmed yet that are sort of on the books, but yeah, we plan to have sort of several dates in the region around Columbia and sort of the Carolinas and Georgia, as in a regional sense. Yeah.
In other words,
and a festival too. Yeah.
If you told me more, you'd have to kill me at this point.
No. I do music booking on the side too for a local venue, and so I know how tentative everything is. But it's in the works, and we should be out and about. Yeah.
Well, I hope that either for people like myself, so I'm calling you from up here in Toronto right now, that we can find ways to come to those more local shows, and obviously I'm keeping my fingers crossed to see you guys on a bill that is going to take you up here in Canada as well, because I'd love to come check you guys out. Byron, Gina, Kevin, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. On a Saturday, a full band on a Saturday, taking your precious free time away. But thank you so much for your time. I thoroughly enjoyed the record, and like I said, I really hope I see you guys play live in the flesh very soon. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you giving the record a good listen and really thinking about it and engaging with it. That's when you're an artist, that's what you want, right? It's people to give it a little time and see what you tried to see when you made the record. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
It was really great talking with you.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.